Building off of our previous videos, I would like to discuss the feasibility of the Complete Communities Action Plan. I held an interview with Dr. Jeffrey Lowe, Associate Professor of Urban Planning and Environmental Policy in the Barbara Jordan Mickey Leyland School of Public Affairs at Texas Southern University. Dr. Lowe's interests center around social justice and racial equity within the context of housing and development, making him an ideal source for our own research. Also, he's a Kinder Fellow at Rice University. So one of the first questions I asked was pertaining to the current progress of the Complete Communities Action Plan. When asked about the progress and significance of the initiative, here's what he had to say.
That the idea of complete communities has gone from conception to planning, where it is an innovation for the city of Houston that they are actually meeting with different organizations, different entities within communities, and asking them what they want, and having produced reports, and this was facilitated, and this is key, I think, and this was facilitated through the Department of Planning and Development.
Mm-hmm.
Houston is one of the largest cities in the U.S. without having community planners.
Right.
Planners specifically dedicated to neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And so the innovation here is, again, for the first time in decades, the planning department is actually facilitating a process working directly with communities, what we may call, neighborhood planning or community planning.
The main thing we wanted to know about the project is whether or not this initiative and its goals were feasible, and Dr. Lowe provided good insight on that.
By it being placed in the mayor's office, mm-hmm. I think that, one, that's signaling that it may be very difficult to institutionalize.
Right.
Mayors come and go. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the advantages that Sylvester Turner, Mayor Turner has, in my opinion, is that by being the first mayor to serve a 4-year term, mm-hmm. In the past, Houston mayors served, they had the ability, their terms were for 2 years, and they could serve 3 consecutive terms, right?
Right.
And what that means is the mayors were always politicking, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't really have time to focus on policy,
right,
and policy development. And so one of the things that Mayor Turner has, being the first mayor to serve 8 years or 2 4-year terms, it actually gives him an opportunity in a way that other mayors haven't to really create policy.
Right.
And so I think that by moving it into the mayor's office, Complete Communities, mm-hmm. it makes it more difficult for Complete Communities to be institutionalized. He has more control over it by moving it into his office. But the trade-off is mayors come and go. Right. And certainly this is his last term. And so then for the question, if you move it into the mayor's office, it makes it less secure, or less likely that it will be institutionalized going forward. Whereas if it had remained in the planning department or the Department of Planning and Development, that would have signaled, the city would, be taking a real turn towards neighborhoods, having an opportunity to institutionalize. Again, it's an initiative.
Right.
Um, but if it had become opportunities for it to be institutionalized, would mean that it would be ongoing.
Dr. Lowe also had an interesting take on the obstacles of the action plan, specifically on the way it is being funded.
Is and somewhat related to this one. Maybe the greatest challenge is to the longevity of complete communities, and I think that's really what's needed, and that's what I'm focusing on. How do you institutionalize it? Is that while the mayor in the city has offered initial funding for it, the model for its life is that it be funded by private dollars. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's dangerous, quite frankly, um, especially in an environment where you have weak, um, uh, a weak community development sector. Mm-hmm. For it to be funded by private dollars, and where in a city where particularly the development interests have the power, it is, and relationships are uneven, it increases the probability that the initiative could be co-opted or controlled by the private sector. Okay. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think if we're not careful, we will have delivered our communities even more so to private development and private interests than already exist.
Overall, Dr. Lowe thinks this is a good start to helping enhance these communities and neighborhoods in a way that Houston previously has not done. If students want to help, one thing that Dr. Lowe suggests is maybe lending their skills to data research or statistics for these organizations that may not have this type of assistance and need it. And of course, raising awareness and bringing attention to the revitalization of these neighborhoods through social justice movements and social media. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.